What a morning of news we have had so far, Michael. What a morning of news. Not only have we had the announcement of this Super League in principle, where we could see clubs leaving the Premier League, but also Jose Mourinho has been kicked out by Tottenham. Which it's a bit mad for me because that's on the eve of a cup final. Which I think is a strange time to be kicking him out, if I'm honest. We'll say that. But without further ado, we shall move on to our first segment so we can get through it all without boring you too much, and that is Goal of the Week. So, Michael, over to you.
Lovely. Thanks very much. So we had last week's poll. Quite a few people voted for that one. Thanks very much if you did actually vote. I really do appreciate it. Just to elaborate, we do have a poll that runs on a weekly basis on Twitter. If you look underneath our names, you'll be able to see us. So it's at Michael Hawes 85 for those listening on the audio only. And I think yours is at FDT-TV Ian.
At Ian FDT. But they are in the descriptions as well. So.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, if you want to head over to there, check out our polls, and you'll see this this week's one, which is current or which will be up by the time you are listening to this. So Dallas was the one for Leeds last week. He was voted as your goal of the week. So congratulations to Dallas. Moving on to this week's, there was a few goals that I'd seen, which for me did actually make me go, wow. Harry Kane. In fact, I will say this now. Two of them are from one game, and I thought they were absolute belters. Harry Kane, his first one, absolutely brilliant. Took it down on the chest, a volley into the goal. Super finish, and it pains me to say it being an Arsenal fan, but it was a super goal. And on the reverse of that, Gylfi Sigurdsson, his second goal again. Ball was played across the box, and he absolutely pinged it, and it was one of those where I went, goal. And it was just nice because obviously it was against Spurs, and it's nice to see a former Spurs player scoring against Spurs and celebrating as well, which is fantastic.
Yep.
So those two for me are were goal contenders for this week, and I've also got to say it. I know this will pain you to say it. Joe Willock, Arsenal man, scoring against West Ham to seal the victory. I thought it was a good goal. And yeah, I do apologise, but for me, that's the other goal of the week for me. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about our game because it was absolute pish. And yeah, those are the contenders for goal of the week. So, like I said, head over to Twitter, have your vote, and we'll announce the winner next week.
Very good. Very good. That will move us very swiftly on then to our next segment, which we like to call One Good, One Bad. I don't know who kicked off first. Who went first? We did, didn't we?
Yes.
Right. So, one good, one bad from the West Ham game against Newcastle. One good, we showed some fighting spirit to come from 2-0 down after a torrid first half while having 10 men. One bad, we did see the return of Flappy Hansky.
And that's not even you mispronouncing it.
No, it's not. That is why Arsenal got rid of him. That's the best we saw of him at Arsenal was performances like that. Unfortunately, it returns. He's usually solid in goal. He did apologise to the fans afterwards. It wasn't his day, but we've got to move on and beat Chelsea at the weekend. But yeah, that's my one good, one bad. Can't believe it.
Yeah. To be honest, mate, when I was watching the game, I obviously I was texting you to start off with, and yeah, it wasn't great view, but obviously then we saw the comeback. I thought the penalty from Lingard was really good.
Yep.
And it was just one of those things where we've seen at Arsenal so many times. You're trying to hang on for something, and unfortunately, the worst happens.
Well, so the Joe Willock's header, it was a good, powerful header, which is what you want, but it was straight at him. Like it was straight down the barrel. There was no way that should have gone in, and it did. The first one I thought was a poor dive. He didn't really get much to it, and Diop got it caught up in his feet, and it went in. But that shouldn't have gone in. It was laughable. It was really laughable. You know, like when you see us play like that, that is how people perceive West Ham to play all the time. And that's not how we've been playing this season, which is why I think it was such an upsetting result. It was just poor from minute one. Dawson sloppy with his tackles. Some West Ham fans were saying that the goal shouldn't have counted because if he was getting sent off, then they can't play advantage. But that's if it's a straight red. So there was a lots of talk about that, and I went through the ins and outs of it with the other half, and I don't really think she was that interested. So like the rules of the intricate rules of the game and advantage, and what situations dictate what. But yeah, not good at all.
Do you think that's your top 4 finish gone, or do you?
As I said, if we don't finish in the top 4, it's still a good season, is it, for us? But if we can go and get, this is the thing, is we are where we are on merit. But if we can go and nick a result against Chelsea, then I think that gives us a little bit of hope that we can still do it. However, after all the teams get kicked out because of the Super League, we're finished second, so doesn't really matter, does it?
That's a good point.
Doesn't really matter. I think there's a slim chance we could do it, but we've got to get some of our players back. I think the result against Leicester was good, but I think it's more likely we're going to see results like we did against Newcastle with the players out that we've got out. We need Antonio back, we need Declan Rice back, and we need Cresswell back. Simple as. Simple as.
You never know, mate. You never know. They might surprise you coming towards the final run in. So, fingers crossed. I mean, I really want West Ham to get into the Champions League. I think that'd be amazing. Not only because you're a mate and I love you, but because I don't think it's ever been done by West Ham previously. So,
not for a long time. Not in my lifetime.
Certainly in its current iteration. Obviously,
yeah,
that's something that we're going to talk about in a bit anyway. But shall we move on to my game?
Yes, we should.
So Arsenal versus Fulham. What an absolute pile of pish that was. To be honest, we should have had the game dead and buried in the first half. We weren't clinical with our chances. I think certainly for the first goal, it was kind of like little toenails offside. And certainly for the header as well, I think we were really unlucky. But obviously, that's what VAR has been brought in for, to ruin the game, to make those decisions. Obviously, if it was the other way around, I'd be calling for that to be to give an offside. So I get it. We just weren't at our best at all. My one good was the fact that we managed to scrap a point out of it. Eddie Nketiah come on and scored the equaliser in the dying seconds of the game. My one bad is Alex Lacazette out injured. We did see him pull up for a suspected hamstring injury, which isn't good. You did see him as he was running towards the box, kind of like wince and then grab the back of his leg. So I think, to be honest, mate, that's his season over, which I ultimately result as our Europa League aspirations over as well. I know we have Aubameyang who is due to come back from his sickness, so he's currently out with malaria. But is he going to come back and is he going to fire? I very much doubt it. He's been poor all season. But you never know. May surprise us. May surprise us. But yeah, that's my one good, one bad for this.
Very good.
For that game.
So with the starting lineup, I was quite excited about. I've been chiming on about it for ages. Martinelli, Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka. That front three was quite exciting, especially the opening minutes. They were all over the place, chopping and changing positions, running at the defence. Is that something you want to see more of going forward?
Yes. Very quickly, yes.
Very quickly, yeah.
Very
that's fair enough. The other one, obviously, Aubameyang is out with malaria. Now, we've spoken about him being banned from playing because he was late and then he was dropped, and all of this has happened since the international break, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a long time to say, oh, I've contracted it then and didn't really know for 6 weeks. Do you think that's just sort of an excuse to let him go away, relax, no pressure, get your head in the right space and then come back firing? Or do you think he's actually got malaria?
Well, there have been pictures on his Instagram of him actually in hospital, so I would say that. But you never know; someone might have swiped him a hospital gown, and he's just taken
Well,
one of those.
you say this.
Picture angles.
The YouTuber Calux recreated KSI's bedroom in his lounge to the millimeter.
It could be then.
So
could be.
It's not an impossibility. Just seems very oddly timed for me. That's all I'm saying. It's
to be honest, I don't even know what the symptoms and the consequences are of the disease.
Definitely.
I know it's but that's only if you leave it untreated. It's got to be some sort of sickness and all that sort of stuff with it. I genuinely don't know what it is.
Don't know enough about it.
No, exactly. So if it is a genuine sickness, then obviously speedy recovery to him. But at the same time, it could be something as cynical as what we're saying, just to kind of get his head in the correct space. But whatever happens, speedy recovery, and make sure you come back firing on all cylinders as you were for the last 2 seasons. Don't turn into Mesut Ozil.
And one more that sort of bleeds into my favourite. The first decision that was given with the toenail offside, I thought was a joke. I think lots of people, the pundits thought it was a joke, the commentators thought it was a joke. The last one, which arguably there is more of an argument for, with Rob Holding being offside and interfering with the ball, the ball coming towards him. Do you think that was VAR sort of trying to correct itself by going, well, really, we probably should have given that one as offside, but we got one dramatically wrong earlier, so just it's fine, give them the goal, because it should have been a goal anyway.
Potentially. You just don't know, do you? I mean, we've said it so many times about how contrived VAR is, and it's all subjective. But I mean, even on the first goal, this is just my interpretation of it. I don't know if I'm being correct or not, but especially for the goal as well, when they were looking at the offside or potential offside decision or whatever. For me, it looks like the line that was drawn for the Fulham player, I can't remember who it was, but it looked like they'd drawn it 1 pixel too short. And I know that sounds really contrived,
but with the preciseness that they're doing it with, that was in air quotes for everyone who's audio only, a pixel makes a difference.
But that's what I'm saying. If from where the line of the shirt was, because I think they were going from kind of like the forward shoulder or whatever, it looked like it was about 1 pixel too short. And it looked like they'd only done that just to keep the player on side. So they saw where I can't remember, it might have been Gabriel Magalhaes. I think the line was drawn, and then they've drawn the line where it was, but then come over one just to make it look as if it was on top. Again, I'm sounding like a complete knobhead going, oh no, I think they've done it. #agenda against Arsenal. But that was just the way I looked at it. It was done so quickly. And we both know that they could spend hours looking into this footage or whatever, and it still would make a bloody bit of difference. They do it as the league wants to do it, or the referees want to do it.
And obviously the Fulham penalty went to VAR. I shouted for a penalty for the in real time. His foot got trod on, which is fine. You can go down as a penalty. Not a problem. But the way that he went down looked like, I won't put it as I put it in the group, but it looked like there was a sniper in the stands. So should there be some action from that? Because it's not just you've gone down. You've gone down like a fairy.
I think we've seen so many players. No, we have seen it so many times this season where players haven't gone to ground. I think Foden was a good example of this, where he could have had a penalty had he gone down, but he stayed up, and obviously the chance was squandered. But even looking at the VAR, I think the decision was made that because he stayed on his feet, that's why they didn't give the penalty.
Right.
And so I think players are having to do that if they can feel that there is contact. They maybe have to go overzealous or over theatrical, should I say, with their falling down, just to make sure they do get the correct decision for them. So personally, I think it was a penalty, but you're right. He didn't need to go down in the manner he did, but I think he only did that to ensure that he got the penalty.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a shame because people don't like seeing it, do they? It just feels like
Nope.
a cheat. But at least there was contact, unlike Mo Salah. Right. So we've sort of covered VAR there, but without the intro. I mean, the officiating was horrific in a lot of games this weekend. So do you want to give us an intro, an outro for it, rather than an intro this time?
Yeah, all right. VAR, bloody VAR, you bastard! Last time in his house, VAR.
I like it. I don't know if the acoustics are going to be as good in the next one, but only time will tell.
Absolutely.
Right. Let's get on to Mourinho before we get into anything else. So Mourinho, 17 months in a job, has got them to a Carabao Cup final. Okay, yes, their season this season has been a little bit underwhelming. They started off firing goals left, right and centre and looked like they were real contenders and have sort of gone a bit negative. However, he has lost his job. When we saw Pochettino go from Tottenham, Mourinho was introduced that afternoon. So you would think they would have someone lined up. And the only people I could think of at the minute that are free or out of a job or potentially even linked with it would be Allegri, former Juventus boss, and Jurgen Klinsmann, former Tottenham player, but he was linked with a job at the same time as Mourinho was. So who do you think might take over?
I've genuinely no idea and genuinely no interest.
We say the former player Mason, I want to say Mason Bennett, Ryan Mason, that's the one. He's taking interim charge, so that could be interesting. Got his career cut short for injury, but still in and around the game, which is good. So Mourinho's gone. Do you think it's the right decision? I mean, we know he's a serial winner, but the right decision to do it on the eve of a cup final?
Well, listening to a well-known sports broadcasting TalkSport, they were saying that they think it's they were saying it's a strange decision. However, if he was to win the trophy, that would cement his position within Tottenham. So I think that they think that there was always the view to get rid of him based on the negative football that I have seen of recent times. So from looking, I think it was just before Christmas, Spurs were kind of flying high. There has been a dip in form. They've dropped points left, right, and centre. And if they were to have won the Carabao Cup, it would have been more difficult to get rid of Jose Mourinho. Not saying it's an impossibility, but obviously he would have potentially or could have led them to a trophy, but I would say it would be more difficult to get rid of him because he'd won him a trophy. Personally,
tell that to Abramovich.
Yeah. I personally think that he was potentially the right manager for the job.
Yep.
If they wanted to get silverware within Spurs, because let's face it, they've been crying out for silverware more than a fucking Audi Cup. That he could have done it. Obviously, your comments at the start of the season, you thought that he was going to win him a trophy this year. We'll never know now.
Right. I do think Man City were there for the taking. We saw them a very poor Man City against Chelsea. So the quadruple's no longer on, but that was a poor performance. Kevin De Bruyne went off injured, so chances are he's not going to play. They've got a fair few players out that are key to that success that they've had this season, and now picked up little niggling injuries just through the sheer amount of games. They were there for the taking. Without Mourinho there, I don't think they're going to win it. I think Manchester City are going to win it. And again, Chelsea, Tottenham are going to go without a trophy.
Well, I suppose there is that thought that you do have the new manager bounce, air quotes. And I know it's only a temporary position. There's obviously, as you mentioned earlier, there's probably already something in the pipeline ready for the new manager of Tottenham for when he comes in. But I I don't see it. I don't see them winning this. Whereas Spurs, when they come to or when we played them earlier on in the season, they hit us twice with unbelievable counter attacks, and then they dug in to keep a clean sheet. So it's 2-0 in that game, and I could have seen that happening. I know, obviously, on recent form they have conceded a few goals, and like I said, have dropped points. But I think in a cup competition, Mourinho knows how to win trophies. He's shown it with his career.
Yep.
But
again, it's the only club he's never won trophies at. So I think that says more about the club than the manager, if I'm honest. Yep. We know Tottenham have got quality. Harry Kane is picked up an injury. We don't know how severe that is, so he could miss the final. But literally 2-3 weeks ago, there was articles and the radio shows and everything else were saying about it would cost more for Tottenham to get rid of Mourinho than it would for them to lose Harry Kane and not get in the Champions League. So this could be double bubble for Tottenham fans. Actually, you're not going to get in the top 4, and you're going to lose Harry Kane anyway. And you've got no manager. So you might be in the Super League, but that saves you being in a Championship next year, doesn't it? But the Super League,
yes,
obviously
massive talking point.
Broke this morning. There's different schools of thought on it. There's some schools of thought to say that obviously is trying to replace the Champions League, which would make sense to say we want to come in and replace it, but that's not how they've pitched it. What they've pitched it as is this is going to be a new league for the elite clubs across Europe. So thus far we've got the traditional Big Six, although some of them have not been Big Six for long, and some of them are no longer Big Six. Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, Spurs, or Liverpool. Have I got them all? Might have said one twice.
Yes. I think you said Spurs twice. Spurs, yeah, the two Manchester clubs: Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham.
Yeah. So when you look at it, they've agreed, in principle, agreed to join. Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, and Barcelona have agreed to join. Inter Milan, AC Milan, and Juventus.
Mm-hmm.
The two big clubs in Germany, Dortmund and Bayern Munich, have both ruled it out completely. Paris Saint-Germain have said, not really bothered either way. So at the moment, no, we're not changing, as have a couple of other clubs as well. Essentially, what's been promised is the 3 billion quid a year that comes in through UEFA, through the Champions League and the Europa League, to be more evenly distributed between the big clubs.
Yep.
However, there is a caveat to that. That means that all of those clubs would have to leave their respective leagues because of how it's going to be set up, which is not good for any of those leagues. Let's put it quite frankly, yes, would I like to see all those teams leave so we get different winners and it's a bit more competitive every year? Yes, of course I would. But on the other hand, that's part of the parcel of it, isn't it? Where you get the giants come down and actually you Burnley's beat them, or you newly promoted Norwich give them a game and it's 5-5 at the end of it. That's what we all love watching. So they would have to leave those leagues. The Premier League has got a rule. It's Rule L9 of the Premier League rules, which means they can't leave they can't enter any competitions without the Premier League's approval, without being kicked out the league, essentially. So where we get the trouble with it is these games will not just be played at home grounds. They will be toured around the world. So the likes of yourself, Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans, Tottenham, Liverpool, and the Manchester club fans, although Manchester United sort of don't have any local fans, will not be able.
Liverpool fans.
Well, they will not be able to go and see their club play week in, week out. They won't be able to travel up and down the country to do it because one week it will be in Malaysia, the next week it will be in the USA, the next week it will be in Australia, the week after that it's going to be in Japan, then Russia, then South Africa. You know, it's going to travel the world, which is not good. So there are a number of fans who have already said they're going to boycott their clubs and change allegiances, which is quite interesting. The fact that if you've bought a season ticket and now there may not be a season, because if the Premier League don't back down and kick these teams out of the league, where's your season ticket gone? Because they're not going to pay for you to travel around the world, are they? You're going to get the odd game at home, but it's just a very interesting thing. But they've not done it to say we want to challenge UEFA. But what they've said, we want our own thing that we can't get out of. Now, I would like this is the part I'd like your opinion on. Should you be in the top leagues, i.e. the Champions League, whatever format it's in, whether it's changed and the money's distributed differently, would you want to be there every year because of the history of the club, or would you want to be there on current merit?
Personally, I think it should, to be fairer across the whole of the Football League, I think it needs to be done on merit.
Yep.
Because for the likes of Leicester City, a couple of years ago when they won the Premier League, obviously it was a 5,000 to 1 outside chance that they were going to win it, and they went on and did it.
Yep.
Fair play to them. And then they got to compete in the Champions League. For the likes of ourselves, again, as much as it pains me to say it, over the last few seasons we haven't been good enough. If we went into the Champions League now, we would get spanked, even by the minnows of the Champions League, just because of how inconsistent we are. And I know we're going through a whole kind of rebuilding, kind of restructuring transition period. But for me, obviously, we've grown up, we've known the Champions League, we've known the Europa League. Obviously, there have been changes to the European competitions.
Yep.
And there will be changes even to our own leagues, I believe, in years to come. But for me, I think it should be done on merit. I was quite shocked last night when all the rumours started flying around, and then I think it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, I get a notification from Arsenal to say, or the Arsenal.com to say, yeah, we've fully agreed to this. But I'm trying to get my head around it. And for me, the only thing I can think of is to provide a financial stability for the club. Because I heard a figure earlier that clubs have lost out on £1.2 billion
a season
because of the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, what did you say?
That's a very similar number to the UEFA thing that they keep for themselves.
Oh no,
but we'll go into that after.
Yeah, so they were saying, I think it's across the leagues that clubs have lost out on £1.2 billion because of the pandemic. Obviously, you've not had people coming into the stadiums, and the clubs are looking at paying extortionate wages for players. So I think the clubs that have signed up for it, obviously there is the big balloon payment to allow the infrastructure to be implemented and all that sort of stuff. And with the way the world has been, it obviously makes sense from a business perspective to get some money, or much needed money, back into the clubs.
Yep.
However, I don't think, and this is coming from a very passionate Arsenal. I know I have an Everton shirt up there, but please don't be fooled. This was a gift. In fact, it was kind of like thrown at me because that person didn't want the Everton shirt in his house anymore. Much like I'd be doing if I had a Spurs shirt. However, I'm a very passionate Arsenal fan, and I will happily say that we are nowhere near a top six club, a traditional top six club at the moment. We've seen for the last 3 or 4 seasons, we've just not been good enough.
Yep.
I think we are where we should be based on our current form. And I don't think it's right that there are teams that could potentially miss out on that.
Yeah.
Because of our previous history.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is the way that it's been proposed and it's been done is although you will get more money from this league, Super League, as it is, invite-only league, that they're saying they're going to keep expanding. You will only play the 12 teams that are been invited throughout a season. So you're going to play them 4 times a season. How boring is that going to get when you're getting slapped every week by Liverpool, then Manchester City, then you go to Real Madrid, then Barcelona, and then you come back to Man City and Liverpool again? People are not going to want to watch it. But what they're saying is the UEFA bringing $3 billion or pounds, euros, whatever it is, a year. They keep 1.9 billion for themselves and distribute the rest amongst prize money and appearances and bonuses and TV stuff. So what this new one is saying is we're going to take that 3 billion and give it to these clubs evenly. However, you're then going to miss out on Premier League TV rights because you're not in that. So that's a big loss. Any FA Cup money that you get, which is the biggest second one, any UEFA competition that you could have been in, there's no prize money for that because you're no longer in it. And none of your players can appear in any internationals. So for some players, they're going to go, okay, the example TalkSport used was Højbjerg. Actually, is he playing at the top level at the minute? No, because he's playing at Tottenham in mid-table. Is he likely to lift a World Cup or no, not really. But actually, if you offered him the opportunity to get a little bit more money and to play Barcelona and Real Madrid every week, he'd probably bite your hand off. You go the other end, let's look at your Paul Pogbas, who have lifted the World Cup. Oh, you can't no longer do that. Your team might go and win it, but you won't ever be part of it again because you're playing that. And FIFA have banned you from playing in their competitions. So it's a big ask for players as well to give up international careers. I feel like it's been a long time coming that there has been a challenge for the Champions League. And I do think there will be one. However, I don't think this is the way to do it. I really don't.
My thinking behind it, I mean, I know it's all speculation from my perspective, but I think this is possibly a scare tactic because we have seen a certain club now leave I can't remember, it was the EAC or whatever it was, the EEC, which can obviously only send shockwaves down or throughout UEFA for FIFA to say, okay, well, we are doing this, whether you like it or not. Obviously, I do get that there are certain repercussions, certainly from our own league. You mentioned it earlier, the certain legislations that are in the English FA.
Mm-hmm.
However, I mean, I just want to draw the comparison to. I know this is like worlds apart. However, the darts. So we have the two what are they called? Two councils. So you've got the BDO, which is the British Darts Organisation, and you have the PDC, which is the Professional Darts Corporation. Now, the PDC was born out of the BDO not getting enough television rights, not playing the players enough. So the likes of Eric Bristow and all that caliber of player who were world champions at the time decided amongst themselves, okay, well, we're gonna fuck you off.
Yep.
We're gonna go and make it our own. We're gonna go and make our own league, and it's gonna be 10 times bigger. And you look at the caliber, not only of the player, but also the prize money and stuff. I mean, I've been following the darts for a few years now, quite a few years now. Obviously, I've shown my age. However, you have seen the prize money. I can certainly remember at the point where it was like £75,000 for the winner, and now I think was it Going Price has just won the championship the start of this year, and the prize money for that was £500,000.
Yep.
For throwing 3 arrows.
Yep.
Or 3 darts at a dartboard.
Well,
that's ludicrous money. I know it's nowhere near the level that some football players and stuff are on. However, but I think that the top prize money in the BDO, I think, is only like £100,000.
But and that's for winning everything, isn't it? That's. But when you think about it, the years and years ago, the World Championship of Darts was played on Canvey Island. The venue there is nowhere near big enough to facilitate what they do now because they make it an event.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, again, I know there's various different competitions, and specifically talking about the World Championships here, because I know you got like
Yeah.
World Match Play and stuff, but they that's the biggest comparison, or the easiest comparison I think I can see as to why this is. Now, I wonder if this is all about scare tactics to kind of get some leverage to the governing bodies to say, look, you need to start sharing the money out
Yeah.
fairer. Because let's face it, you would have no money if it wasn't for us.
Yeah, which there's some truth to that, but I don't think it's completely true, because those clubs wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the fans. If they fuck the fans off, then the fans are going to go elsewhere, at which point they're not worth anything because no one cares. There's two things I wanted to bring up here. One being how they picked these traditional top six, and two being, we'll follow on with now. I do think you're right. We saw the likes of Liverpool, Manchester United kick up a fuss a couple of seasons ago about wanting more television rights than everybody else. They now have a platform to say, well, we're going to go away then. If you don't want to give us that, we're going to go away. I think the Premier League needs to stand firm and say, okay, go away then, not a problem. Because when you look at, obviously, Paris Saint-Germain are not in it, the German teams are not in it. A lot of the FIFA have said no. A lot of the governing bodies are now coming out saying no. The FA said no. The Premier League said no. So when you look at Spain, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, two of them are owned by the state. When the state realises all this money is now going to leave our country and go elsewhere around the world, they're gonna turn that on its head and go, no, you're not doing that. You are owned by us. You do what we say. So that takes them two clubs out of it. Atletico Madrid, I think, would follow suit very, very quickly after that. When you look at the Italian clubs, AC Milan and Inter Milan have both had, and Juventus in recent memory, have all had real bad financial troubles. So business sense for them, it makes sense. But when the Italians go, off you go then, don't be involved with us, and cause all sorts of other problems with tax and whatnot, as they're liable to do, and then I think their stance will change very quickly. At which point you've then got 6 Premier League clubs going, well, we're going to do this Super League, and the Premier League go on then, there is no one in it, you know? They're kick them out of the league and then renegotiate on your terms. So actually, no, you're going to get less money now, and the Premier League keep it, or distribute it down the pyramid, or to grassroots football, which is what I think should be done with it, and give them to, like, no, or say to them, oh no, actually you got kicked out of the league, you've got to start at the bottom. So you've got to go in. We'll give you just Ishman Premier League or whatever it is, conference level. That's where you start, and work your way back up. Oh, and by the way, you don't meet any of the financial stuff for that, because they've all got wage caps down there and part-time contracts. So fuck off. See how quickly they go, oh, we're sorry, we won't do it again. But I do think there will be a change. Obviously, today was meant to be the day that UEFA put their new structure out to consultation to all the clubs that are in it. So I do think it's a very timely done thing. It's all been planned, but it's all about money at the end of the day. It is all about money. Will the competition be better regulated than UEFA, or will it be the same corruptness after a little while? Well, I think probably the latter. It might start off with good intentions, but eventually people get greedy, as obviously they have now, which is why they want to do it. The other thing, big 6 clubs. So I can go with saying Chelsea, Man United, Man City. Big clubs, all generally the only people who win the Premier League, or have done recently. Liverpool have won 1 Premier League
in 30 years.
2 Champions Leagues.
Yep.
One of them was recent, and they only won it because they played Spurs. Was that the one they won? It was, wasn't it? Because Real Madrid beat them the time before.
Yes.
Yeah. So they only won it because they played Spurs. So they're not really okay. Yes, they have a big ground. Are they a big club? Yes, they've got history, but in recent memory, no, not really. I wouldn't say. Tottenham have never won anything, not since the 60s. So again, nice big new stadium, but they haven't won anything. So how can you say we're a big club? Traditionally, yeah, back in the 60s you were a big club, but no one gives a fuck about that. Like, who cares about the Beatles anymore? Nobody. The Beatles are used for samples and adverts. That's it. But you look at Arsenal. You've not won you've won FA Cups, yes, but you've not won the Premier League in what 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what about Leicester? Leicester won the Premier League more recently than you. They're up there. They challenge most years now, or have done for the last 3 or 4 years. If we go back as far as 16 years, can we not add Blackburn in there? They was a real force. Newcastle. What about Leeds? Put them in there. They've got history, big clubs, big fan bases. How far are we going back? Let's go back to like 1920s. And West Ham were big then.
See, are they
Preston?
I'm not,
Nottingham Forest? Get them in.
I'm not entirely sure as to what the categories for or the criteria for the Big Six. I mean, could it be done on financial clout?
But even that is a biased game, isn't it? Because the financial fair play sounds good on the face of it, but it's there to let big clubs get bigger and stop little clubs from growing. So, and this year, UEFA have come out and said, actually, we're going to pretty much scrap it for this year because go and spend what you like. So again, that benefits big clubs because actually, likes of Man City and PSG and Real Madrid and Barcelona, who are state sponsored or owned by oil barons, it's dropping the ocean, isn't it? Okay, just throw money at it. Cool. You're not gonna count this year. We'll just go and buy everyone. We'll go and buy Haaland for £800 million, and guess what? You don't care. And it's just farcical. I do think there needs to be a restructure of the Champions League and how the money's distributed. If it doesn't cost £1.9 billion to run, which I don't believe it does, then that money should go to different people. I know there's some issue with people wanting to not want to play like the minnow, like Romanian champions and things like that. But that's part and parcel of it. That's what the fans love. Actually, let's go to a place where we've never been before, that we never knew existed, and go and destroy their town. You know, that's what football. That's what football fans
like
love.
Celtic beating Barcelona 2-1 with like 19% possession.
Yeah. That is what football is about, and that's what I think the owners of the clubs, and especially the American owners who seem to own a lot of these clubs that are in it, fail to understand. Because in America, they're franchised, aren't they? And they move from city to city. Oh, we're not going to be here now. We're going to move 400 miles up the road. Well, that doesn't work. But I think they missed the point of where like the history of where the clubs come from and where the fan bases come from. The fact they'll stand by them through thick and thin until the point where they know you really don't care about them. And at that point, they will go. And I think that's what a lot of these clubs are in danger of doing.
It's going to become the World Series, isn't it?
Well, the World Series is only Europe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because
it is going to be that sort of structure, isn't it? There's going to be you've got the regular season, then you've got the off season where you've got playoffs and all that sort of stuff, and it's
Here's the thing:
it's going to grow very tired, very.
But when it's invite only and you're playing the same teams, so likes of at the moment, let's be honest, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Tottenham. You're playing these big teams every week. Those three are the whipping boys of this competition. Along with AC Milan and Inter Milan. Other than that, who are you going to see win? You're going to see Man City win. You're going to see Barcelona or Real Madrid. If Bayern Munich was in it, they'd be up there as well. Other than that, everyone else, you've got some that may make a charge every now and again, but you're going to see the same results over and over again, 4 times a season. Mm-hmm. What I don't get is what they should do is say, in the off-season, bit like the Club World Cup. Expand that. We're going to have this big European competition that's an invite only for the big clubs. We're going to sell it across the way. It's middle of summer. People are going on holiday to Spain, to wherever, to watch these games. And we're going to give all the money. We're going to keep all the money for ourselves. That would work. I don't think there would be any problem with that because it's pre-season, isn't it? Or post-season, whatever you want to call it. Or come out and say, we're not happy with how UEFA is running that. So we're going to sort out our own competition. Don't go, well, no, we're going to drop everything else and go and do this instead. No, we want to stay like that, but we want to restructure it so it benefits us, not so it benefits them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get my head around it. I know football clubs are run as businesses now rather than as clubs, and I can see both sides of the fence. But this is just stupid. Just stupid.
I am interested to see, because obviously it's only going to come about if it's approved by all parties, and obviously we could see, as you said, the likes of the Premier League just abolished in its if the permission isn't given, which they said they're not going to give the permission. Obviously that's 6 teams that draw in a massive audience from around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that the likes of Burnley and stuff aren't big clubs, because obviously they are big clubs. They're in the Premier League, they're in the top league in the world. However, if the permission isn't given and we do lose those 6 clubs, that league is going to go downhill very quickly. Or the Premier League is in its current iteration is going to go downhill very quickly.
Yeah,
it's going to make it more interesting because, as you mentioned, anyone could win it. We've seen it's been such a topsy-turvy season the last 2 seasons, I think. Liverpool with their outstanding run, and then for the likes of Manchester City, who appear to be on that run as it stands at the moment. But you have got the likes of Everton are up there, West Ham are up there, Leicester are up there again. It's crazy, and it will ruin it. It will ruin it. I personally, I've been thinking about it over the last day or so as to how I feel about it. And it was only when I was listening earlier that they'd obviously made the threats to kick these teams out of the Football Association.
Yep.
Because of this set of rules that they have. Now, if it was to be run as per the comments which I read yesterday, that it was going to be kind of like a midweek fixture to replace the Champions League, I think that would benefit everyone, because they get obviously the additional money distributed between the teams. Makes sense. It would just mean obviously that they can't compete in the European competitions as they stand, so your Champions League and your Europa League.
Yep.
However, if it means that we end up getting booted out of the Premier League, I think Arsenal. In fact, I think all of those clubs would be cutting their nose off to spite their face, because we know how passionate we get about the weekend fixtures, even if it is the likes of playing your Fulhams, your Burnleys, your Sheffield Uniteds. Again, I don't mean any disrespect to those clubs. They got to where they are on merit. Obviously, with Sheffield United coming up from the Championship, for Fulham's coming up from the Championship, it is a special thing. Every week you roll around and you know you're going to be. It could be anyone's game. Obviously, you do have your predictions and your thoughts to say, oh yeah, this is going to be a comfortable win. I was guilty of it for the Fulham game in my previous show.
Yeah,
I said I think it will be a comfortable win. However, we just played in Europe, so we don't tend to play well after playing in Europe, and then we come back, and it was kind of what I expected. It was a draw, and a very lucky draw at that. And I much prefer a Premier League fixture than playing in Europe. I've got to be honest.
Yeah,
that's just my personal opinion. I'm sure there will be people that have different opinions to me, and I think that's what I love about football.
but that is part and parcel of it. It's different opinions, and the fact that it brings people together, although it might be a love-hate relationship for 90 minutes, at the end of it, it's all good. The thing that I think will change it is when the Premier League, when these clubs turn around, and this is how it's governed, isn't it, really, and how things work. The Premier League will say it will cost you X amount of money per year to be able to do this instead of that, and we'll keep you in the league. We'll amend the rules. We'll add it to the list of approved competitions. At that point, they go, oh, actually, this is the same money we're getting from the Champions League, so why change it? You know, that's how it's going to work. Money talks, and I do think that if they don't back down and they go, we're going to do it, we're going to see a big change in football. I know on TalkSport there was a lot of people saying it will ruin the lower leagues and things like that. I don't think it will. I think it will benefit them. And this might sound a bit strange, but you think between all those clubs, all the big 6 clubs that we're mentioning, how many fans go on a weekly basis to watch them home and away? If all those clubs are playing around the world, yes, some will go and watch them because they are in a position to be able to do that. The rest of them won't and will want to go and watch football. So they're going to go to their local club, whether that's a non-league side, whether that's a league side, whether it's another Premier League side. They're going to go and watch football. So where you would get like 35 people turn up for a game in some of the lower leagues, you probably get 1,000, 1,500. And that will make a huge difference to these clubs. So I think it's a bit hard to say for definite, but I do think it will benefit in some regards, the lower league, from just footfall through the gate. People wanting to go out and watch football on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever. But I'm sure over the next couple of weeks we will get more information and be able to have a bit more of an insight as to what we think may happen and the way it will go forward. But I have just thought of something. The league table as it is that stands at the moment is you're in first and I'm trailing in second. I don't think I got any points again this week. But
you were close.
I was close because I thought Fulham were going to nick a win. So it didn't
You were very close.
It didn't quite happen. But what are our current scores?
Okay, we had so for Newcastle versus West Ham, you had Newcastle 2, West Ham 3. I had Newcastle 1, West Ham 2. Obviously, we know that the score was 3-2, so 0 points each. For the Arsenal Fulham game, you had Arsenal 1, Fulham 2. I had Arsenal 3, Fulham 1. We were lucky to get a draw. So that's 0 points each. So as it stands, we are having a bit of a shocker, but that's another 0 pointer for another week. So that moves us in. You are on 46 points and I'm on 49. So I'm still winning, but that's because we haven't scored any points.
Although I get a bonus point, then I would Manchester City finally win the Premier League in the beginning of the season.
Yes. So
we've got that. Well, they might, if they really muck it up and don't win anything, I'll be mad. Oh, can you imagine?
Yes.
Gives us 2 more fixtures this week. We have Chelsea, West Ham, Chelsea. And I don't know who Arsenal are playing. So
Newcastle on Friday.
Oh, Newcastle on Friday. So if you are first, do you want to give us a little bit of a preview? Obviously, we do weekly previews in a bit more depth. This is just a brief summary. So go out, make sure you're subscribed, check them out. But Michael, you're playing Newcastle. Yes. What are your thoughts?
We are at home. To be honest, like I said, I've just recorded my previous show. Will be coming out if it's not already out. But Newcastle, I think, will find a bit of form. They obviously need to. I think they will be safe towards the end of the season. We've already seen Sheffield United relegated, and I think there's a couple of clubs which will fight amongst themselves. However, I do think Newcastle will be safe. We have seen the return of St. Maximin back to the team from injury, I believe. We have also seen that they can score some goals when required. I think they were very fortunate and very good against West Ham. Obviously, they capitulated for you to get back into the game, but obviously scored where it mattered. I do think this is going to be a challenge for us. Like I said, with our ever-growing injury list, it doesn't look good. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw on this one.
2-2, fair enough. I've gone a little bit more. Do you know what? This is one of those games that could go either way. I think it could be really exciting and be 8 goals in the game, which we have seen before. But I do think this is going to be the most boring thing we've ever seen. I'm going for a 0-0 draw.
Okay.
I'm going for a draw, but 0-0. I don't think either side are going to win.
Yeah, like I have gone into more detail into my preview, so please make sure you go check that out. You'll see it come up. There'll be my ugly mug doing this, and yeah, I do go into more detail. But yes, Ian, moving on to West Ham versus.
Yeah, so West Ham versus Chelsea. Interesting because Chelsea advanced to the next round of the Champions League, which they may not be in for much longer. But last time they had a game before a Champions League fixture. Can't get my words out. They rotated the squad and played West Brom, and we all remember how that result went. So hopefully they will do the same, especially because they're playing Brighton on Tuesday as well. So I do think we might see a rotated squad, which is good for us. Hopefully we'll have a few players back from injury. Cresswell being one of them, because that would really help, especially because Dawson is now out. But it's a battle for the top four, really, isn't it? Let's put it how it is. I hope that we come out on top. There's a little part of me who thinks we won't, but it's one of those fixtures that form goes out the window a little bit, and it's anyone's to play for. I'm going to go for a high-scoring fixture. I'm going to go for another return of Flappy-Hansky. So Chelsea are going to score 4, and West Ham are also going to score 4.
Cool, blimey.
I think it's going to be an absolute thriller, and I'm going to want to cry and cheer all at the same time.
West Ham 3-0 up in 20 minutes.
Yep. That's exactly how it will go. At half-time, we're going to be 4-1 up, and then at full-time, we'll be 4-all and have a goal ruled out for offside. Yep. So, but go on, okay, what do you think?
My thoughts on this game, obviously we have seen Chelsea through to the FA Cup final as well.
Yes.
I would say a very convincing win over Manchester City, but I think Manchester City were just poor in that particular fixture. However, Thomas Tuchel has managed to get a tune out of Chelsea because they've been very hit and miss under Frank Lampard. They have definitely improved in their form over the last few weeks. And I think it's going to be a good battle between you two, as you said, to find out who's going to be in the top 4 this year. Personally, I think likewise with yourself with suspensions and injuries, I think that could go against West Ham. Likewise, I think Chelsea, we did, as you mentioned, see that they have had a few bogey results this year as well. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a draw, but I don't think this is going to be as high scoring as you think it is. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Chelsea.
I'd much rather see 4-all than 2-1 to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Good admit, I'm not going to say that because I'm a West Ham fan either. Yeah, so we've covered a lot today. Mourinho, Super League, bad results during the week, potentially more bad results next week, goal of the week. There's lots to enjoy, and all within an hour.
Done well.
So that leaves us just to say, I've been Mike. No, I haven't. You've been Mike. Yeah. I've been Ian. I do this every time I was looking at you. I've been Ian.
I've been Mike.
This
is, may I say it, the last time that you will see this room in this house, because I will be moving into my new office, my new house on Wednesday, and I will have a bigger office. So there we go.
Just showing off. Right. But we are FDT-TV, and on that very happy note, we will see you next week.
That's right. Thanks very much.